They tried to evict me from land I legally own. At a live press conference, Victoria Harlow points straight at me. Her voice cuts clean. Ethan McConnell is trespassing. He's not the rightful owner. The crowd gasps. Some shout. I don't respond. No anger, no defense, just silence. Then slowly I unfold the deed. This is the title. I bought your headquarters 6 months ago. Dead quiet. Her face twitches just slightly. For a woman who controls everything, she wasn't ready for this. I was 5 the first time I rode across this land. My grandfather held the reins. The sun was low, and the fields smelled like fresh-cut hay. This land isn't just dirt. Ethan, he told me, it's who we are. Never sell it. Not for any price. That voice stayed with me. Years later, after the accident, I left the city behind. I packed my truck, drove all night, and came home. I didn't have a plan. Just guilt, silence, and a need to start over. The house was still here. So was the barn. The wind still moved through the trees the same way it did when I was a kid. I laid my hand on the porch rail, took a breath, and said the only thing I could. I'm ready to begin again. She showed up in a black SUV, heels sinking into the dirt like they didn't belong there. Victoria Harlow, CEO of Harmony Corp. The kind of woman who never hears no. I'll be brief, she said, handing me a folder. $8 million for the land. Clean deal. I didn't even open it. Just looked her in the eye. This land's not for sale. She tilted her head, smiled like I was a child who didn't understand the rules. You'll change your mind, Ethan, she said softly. Everyone does. Eventually. Then she got back in her car, never looking back. I stood there, dust rising behind her. That's when I realized she wasn't making an offer. She was giving a warning. The letter came folded in half, taped to my gate. Violation gate color, inconsistent with community standards. Red ink, no signature. I showed it to Caleb that afternoon while we changed a tire behind the barn. He read it, then handed it back with a dry laugh. They're not worried about your gate, Ethan. They're looking for a crack. I stayed quiet. They want you gone, he added, but not fast. They'll chip at you one fine one-roomer, one made-up rule at a time. I looked out across the pasture fence lines, clean cattle calm. They picked the wrong man, I said. Caleb didn't smile. No, he said. They picked the one who still believes in doing things right. That's what scares them. The headline hit faster than I could blink. Local rancher tied to fatal accident. Shocking new footage. A video surfaced blurry, cut wrong, full of edits. It showed me near a wreck, then cut to flashing lights and screams. None of it in order, none of it real. By noon, 2 buyers pulled their contracts. No calls, just silence. I stood in the workshop, phone in hand, screen full of accusations. Words like killer, cover-up, criminal. I didn't yell, I didn't throw it. I just squeezed until the screen cracked, then shattered. Glass in my palm. I let the blood drip to the floor and whispered to no one. So, this is how they play. They came in the morning. 3 of them. Faces hidden, cameras rolling. They planted a wooden sign at the gate. Red letters. Blood Farm. One started live streaming. The other handed out fake flyers to passing cars. By noon, the video had 100,000 views. I didn't speak. Just watched from the porch, arms crossed, jaw tight. That night, it got worse. A speaker blared from the road, distorted, looping murderer, 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 over and over, until it didn't sound like a word anymore, just noise crawling into bone. I sat in the dark, didn't move, didn't sleep, just stared out at the pasture and waited for morning, because something told me this wasn't their last move. The lights went out just after noon. Then the water stopped. A letter arrived 5 minutes later, stamped by the HOA. Utility suspension due to non-compliance. I walked to the breaker box, flipped the main switch back up. 2 squad cars pulled in before I reached the porch. One officer stepped out, hand on holster. "Sir, you violated a community directive." Before I could speak, a black SUV eased up the driveway, window down, Victoria Harlow. She didn't get out, just smiled from behind her sunglasses. "I warned you, Ethan," she said. "You can't win a war you don't understand." Then she rolled the window up and drove away. The cops stayed. I stood there alone as the lights inside flickered, then died again. I found Caleb on the ground behind his truck, blood on his shirt, one boot missing. He'd been hit from behind hard enough to crack ribs. They left him there like trash. At the hospital, he tried to joke voice-thin through oxygen. "I told you they don't fight fair," he whispered. That night, I walked to my truck, frost on the windshield. Silence. Then I saw it. Written in thick red streaks across the side mirror, "Shut up or die." Not ink, not paint, blood. I didn't call anyone, didn't clean it. Just stared at those words frozen in place and thought, if this is how far they're willing to go, then we've already crossed a line. The envelope was thick, hand-delivered, sealed with the HOA crest. Inside, 10 pages of violations. Every one stacked with fines. Broken code, improper fencing, noise complaint, gate too tall. At the bottom, one final notice: pay $186,000 within 5 days or face forfeiture of property. No hearing, no appeal. It wasn't about rules, it was about pressure. I looked over the letter twice, then folded it once and set it down. Victoria wasn't using lawyers now. She was using time, fear, and numbers, and if I didn't play their game fast, they'd take everything slow, piece by piece, until all that was left of me was a field with no name. Caleb was still pale when I visited him again. He gripped my arm, voice raw. "Want to survive this? Then stop waiting. Fight back." The next morning I drove into town, bought 6 trail cams, no questions asked. By sundown I had them wired across the property fence lines, driveways, barn doors. One facing the gate, one hidden behind the hayloft, one in the tree above the house. No more blind spots, no more surprises. I didn't know what I'd catch, but I knew this: they weren't just after land anymore. They were after proof of control, and it was time I started gathering some of my own. The blast woke me, a deep, ripping sound, then light too bright for night. I ran barefoot toward the barn, flames already eating through the roof. Cattle screamed inside. I kicked the side door open, smoke flooding my throat. Pulled gates, cut ropes, slapped hides. One by one they ran out, eyes wide, lungs burning. I collapsed outside, coughing, hands shaking. Back inside the house I checked the camera feed. There it was, a figure in a hood sprinting from the barn, jumping into a silver pickup. No plates, no hesitation. They didn't try to scare me this time. They tried to wipe me out, and they nearly did. I found it just after sunrise. The headstone was covered in red spray paint. 3 words, sloppy, dripping. Murdered his own. My grandfather's name buried beneath hate. I dropped to my knees, pressed my hands to the stone. The paint smeared across my palms, thick and wet. I tried to wipe it clean, fingernails clawing at the letters. Skin split open, blood mixed with paint. I didn't speak, didn't cry, just stayed there crouched in the dirt, shaking. Because this wasn't about land anymore. They wanted to break whatever was left of me. And for the first time, I felt like maybe they had. My boots hit the porch steps and I felt nothing, just empty. Then I heard Caleb's voice behind me, quiet, hoarse. "You really gonna walk away?" I didn't answer. He stepped closer, eyes dark with hurt. "If your granddad were here, he wouldn't beg you to stay. He'd punch you in the chest for quitting." I looked down, hands still stained with paint and blood. "I'm tired, Caleb," I said. He nodded once. "Then rest tonight. But tomorrow you stand. Not for you, for him." And just like that, something in me stopped breaking. It started hardening. I didn't fight back with noise. I fought with numbers. 3 days after the fire, I sat in a quiet office 2 towns over. 1 meeting, 2 signatures. A transfer. Through a third-party bank, I bought out the debt Harmony had quietly used to fund the HOA. Every unpaid loan. Every hidden lien. All of it mine now. The HOA didn't know, not yet, but soon the letters would come. They tried to drown me in paperwork and fees, but I learned something in the city they forgot out here. Control isn't loud. It's legal, and when you hold the note, you own the building, even if they still think they're in charge. I listed the HOA clubhouse on a quiet real estate platform. No headlines, no noise. Just a price far below market. Within hours, investor interest poured in. Confused HOA members started calling emergency meetings. Victoria showed up furious, demanding answers. Then she saw the fine print. Ownership, Iron Ridge Holdings. A shell company. Mine. She scrambled. Used her own funds to buy it back before word spread. But she didn't get the original price. She paid double. I didn't need to evict anyone. I just made her bleed where she thought she was safe on paper. They built their empire on manipulation. So I used what they trusted most, money, and turned it against them. The next blow came wrapped in gold-trimmed paper, a formal lawsuit from Harmony Corp. Accusations: trespassing, document forgery, public endangerment. The courthouse steps became a stage. Victoria stood tall under flashing cameras, her red blazer sharp as blood. "We are seeking full restitution," she said. "Mr. McConnell is a danger to this community." Microphones pushed forward. Reporters shouted questions. Headlines flipped by evening. Fraud, farmer faces reckoning. Inside the courtroom, I sat alone. Marble floors, cold air, a judge who barely looked up. All the work I'd done buried beneath her words. But I knew the game. She didn't want justice. She wanted to drown me. In paperwork and press. And she thought I couldn't afford to fight back. He found me outside the courthouse. No badge, just a steady stare behind tired eyes. "Marcus Hale," he said. "Used to write for the Ledger. Before Harmony blacklisted me. I knew the name. Cedar Valley. Pollution. Truth that vanished." "They buried me," he said, voice low. "Just like they're trying to bury you." He held out a folder. My hand hovered before I took it. Breath shallow, jaw clenched. "I've been digging since the day they silenced me. And I'm not done. I didn't ask why now. I didn't need to. Sometimes it takes losing your name to find your voice." "You want to take them down," he said. "Let's give people what they've been denied for too long." I finally met his eyes. He smiled. "Truth," he said, and for the first time in weeks I felt the ground beneath my feet. The envelope was plain. No stamp, no sender. Inside a USB drive. And a note. "I've stayed silent long enough. DK." We plugged it in. I leaned forward, not blinking. Then her voice. "Victoria Harlow. Calm, precise. Poison wrapped in velvet. Pin it on McConnell," she said. "If we lose the PR battle, we lose the project. I don't care how clean his record is, find something." Silence. "Then, what if he fights back?" She didn't hesitate. "Then bury him. One way or another." My hands tightened around the edge of the table. Marcus didn't speak, just looked at me. "That's your smoking gun," he whispered. I didn't nod, just breathed slow, deep, heavy. We didn't just have evidence now. We had intent. And intent burns louder than denial. The footage was rough, grainy, time-stamped, from a gas station across the highway. Marcus pressed play. No one spoke. A car spun out metal on gravel, then a burst of smoke, then me. Running, not away, but toward. I pulled the door open, smoke pouring out, wrapped my jacket around the girl inside. My voice came through faint 911. "I need help now." No pause, no panic, just instinct. I hadn't remembered everything. Trauma has claws, but truth doesn't. Marcus leaned back slowly. That's not just innocence. He turned to me. That's who you are. My chest rose, fell, rose again. They'd called me monster, coward, killer, but I was the only one who ran into the fire. Susan met us at the diner, folder in hand. Her hands shook, but her voice didn't. I used to trust her, she said. I signed off on these transfers. Thought they were routine. Inside the folder, ledgers, emails, payment trails. Tens of thousands quietly moved from the HOA's budget into something called Harmony Media Fund. Marcus flipped pages, eyes narrowing. That's not landscaping or maintenance. I scanned the last document. It showed a single lump sum transfer, labeled Strategic Influence, Phase 2. Victoria used HOA dues, Susan said, to fund a private smear campaign. It wasn't just corruption. It was theft wrapped in HOA logos and fake votes. Now we had proof. Paper trails, signatures, intent, and one more nail for her coffin. The courtroom was packed. Locals in stiff jackets, reporters with sharpened pens. Victoria's lawyer paced slowly, voice sharp and rehearsed. You claim innocence, Mr. McConnell, yet your name appears in every headline, every violation, every threat. Isn't that convenient? I sat still, hands folded, jaw tight. My answers were brief, hollow, tired. They showed photos, twisted timelines, half-truths made to look whole. Whispers filled the room, shaking heads, doubt rising. From the outside I looked defeated, worn thin, like maybe they'd finally broken me. Even Caleb stared at the floor. Even Susan stopped taking notes. I could feel it. The shift. The moment when everyone starts to wonder if they backed the wrong man. Marcus stood up from the back row, a small speaker in hand. Your Honor, he said, voice steady. We have new evidence. The judge nodded once. The room hushed. He hit play. Victoria's voice filled the courtroom, confident, cold, undeniable. We pin this on Ethan. The accident wasn't our fault, but the public doesn't need the truth, just someone to blame. Gasps, shifting in seats. Victoria froze. Her lawyer went pale. The clip continued. If he pushes back, we push harder. Smear him. Silence him. Burn it all down if we have to. The judge raised his hand. That's enough. But the damage was done. The lie wasn't just exposed. It was broadcast. The screen lit up behind the witness stand. Security footage, grainy, then sharpened. Slowed frame by frame. A wrecked car, smoke rising, flames licking the hood, then me, running toward it, jacket off, wrapping it around a girl pulled from the driver's seat. Blood on my face, dirt on my knees. I lifted her into my arms, dialed, spoke fast into the phone. She's alive. Send help now. No hesitation, no escape, just instinct. The courtroom was still, no breathing, no whispers. A juror blinked hard. One neighbor looked down ashamed. For months they'd seen me as a villain. Now they saw the truth, slow, clear, undeniable. I wasn't the fire. I was the one who ran into it. Susan walked to the stand firm despite the tension. She placed a thick folder on the table. These are original bank statements from my time on the board. The judge gestured. Ethan's attorney flipped through the pages, then held one up. Your Honor, this shows direct transfers from the HOA account into a private fund labeled Harmony Media Operations. He turned to the jury. This isn't maintenance, it's not community outreach, it's strategic propaganda paid for with homeowner money. He pointed at Victoria. This is laundering, this is abuse of office, and it was all hidden behind fake board minutes and closed-door votes. Gasps rose again. Victoria stayed silent, jaw clenched. For the first time, she wasn't in control. She was cornered, and the walls were closing in. Victoria shot to her feet, face red, voice cracking. I built this town, she screamed. You think you can treat me like some common criminal? The courtroom froze. Sheriff Dean stepped forward from the back, calm and firm. "Victoria Harlow, you are under arrest for financial fraud, conspiracy, and evidence tampering." She backed away a step, but it was too late. 2 deputies flanked her, cuffs already out. "You're making a mistake," she shouted. "I made this place worth something." Dean nodded slowly. "And now you'll answer for what you did to it." The cuffs clicked shut. Flashbulbs went off. A child in the gallery whispered, "Is that really her?" It was, but not the version she built. This one wore iron on her wrists. I stepped out of the courthouse into morning sun. No cheering, just nods, handshakes, respect without noise. Someone offered a flag. I didn't take it. I walked to the steps, opened my folder, pulled out the land deed to the clubhouse. The new HOA chair waited, eyes unsure. "You're giving it back?" she asked. I nodded. Was never about owning it, just stopping the ones who thought they could. Then I paused, and in the wind like a whisper carried by dust his voice returned. "Never sell this land, Ethan, and never let fear run your hands." I looked up, then walked, past cameras, past questions, boots muddy, soul clean. I knelt at the old grave. Same spot, same stone, no more paint, just clean granite and a fresh bouquet of wildflowers. Wind moved through the trees. Quiet, steady. I ran a hand over his name, closed my eyes. Voiceover, they took the land. They twisted the truth. They tried to break me. A pause, then softer. But they never took the will. That lives where silence ends and standing begins. I stood, dusted off my jeans, looked across the town. So here's the real question. When your time comes, will you rise or bow your head like the rest? The screen fades to black. Only the wind keeps speaking. A simple black screen fades into short clips. One by one, neighbors speak faces we've seen before. HOA fined me $500 for having a blue mailbox. They threatened to sue because I fed stray cats. I stayed quiet. For years. Thought it was just me. Cut to a younger woman. Then Ethan stood up, and I realized maybe we all should have. An older man, eyes wet. He reminded us this land isn't owned by signatures. It's carried by memory, by voice. Each clip blends into the next. Honest, human. No music, just wind. And stories. Stories that mirror more than one town. Stories that sound like ours. Headlines rolled in this time, not to smear, but to honor. The man who faced a system and won with the truth. From accused to advocate, the Ethan McConnell story. TV anchors recapped the trial. Online forums buzzed with phrases like courage, dignity, real grit. One photo spread faster than the rest, Ethan sitting quietly beside his grandfather's grave. No pose, no speech, just stillness and meaning. It landed on the cover of the town magazine. Caption, he didn't raise his voice, he raised the standard. Ethan never asked to be a symbol, but when truth walks through fire and survives, people notice, and some follow. If they came for your land, your name, your peace, would you just let them? Or would you stand like I did? A pause. Just wind. And silence that stings. You don't need a title to fight back, just a spine, just truth. Screen fades to black. Then simple white text appears. Have you ever faced someone like Victoria? Comment below, me too. Then share this so others know they're not alone. The final beat lingers. Not an end, just a spark, waiting for someone else to pick it up.